Damn, Jack starts typing away like Mediev is an easy name to spell or something. I don't care if you're in the CIA, that first I is gonna trip your ass up. Also, Jack hits way more than 7 keys while typing this guy's name. I'm gonna go ahead and knock off 5 sins because Brian De Palma shows how you can tell a story visually without having to cut to a new shot every second. He uses the anamorphic format beautifully in this movie, and if you pay attention, you're rewarded. Spoiler credits. This airplane uses Hi-8 tape decks for its entertainment system, and the CIA uses Hi-8 tapes to send top-secret messages to its teams. Honestly, even with the technology in 1996, this seems pretty cumbersome, and a lot of things could go wrong. But I guess this is the only way the movie could tell us what's at stake and who the characters are. But for Mr. Phelps, wouldn't a secure call be enough?
But this half is useless without its mate, which matches the code names with their true names. It is this half which Golitsyn plans to steal from the embassy.
We find out later that the CIA is putting a decoy knock list in the embassy. But why doesn't anyone on the IMF team question why a super-sensitive spy list is sitting on a f***ing desktop in a Prague embassy?
Your mission, Jim, should you choose to accept it.
And if you choose not to accept it, since this is a one-way recording, I'll have no way of knowing. So I guess, me. Also, super top-secret spy agency leaves its mission's go status up to the whims of random field commanders.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
How does a tape know when to self-destruct? It's all analog. So when it reaches the end of the tape, does a mini cauldron of acid tip over and eat the tape inside? Keep in mind also, you wouldn't be able to do this shit just a couple years later on flights under 6 hours, and on no flight at all 4 years later. So how did they figure out the non-smoking self-destruct mechanism when the laws changed?
Hey, take it easy on my wife's coffee, will you?
That's terrible exposition, but I always wanted to know how Jim Phelps somehow wooed French hottie Claire, who is 25 years younger than he is.
There's a camera built right into the bridge.
Movie unintentionally inspires Google Glass. Netscape. And also, video on the internet that is this smooth during the age of Netscape.
Hasta lasagna, don't get any on you.
Hasta lasagna, don't get any on ya. Also, that's like double racist. Why are all 3 of these camera feeds zooming in at once? We find out later these 2 are part of the other team watching Ethan's team in Prague, but they're terrible at their job. I mean, what kind of training did you get to be a spy in the CIA?
Tell me, Senator, do you not have someone on your staff named Jack?
They give Jack shit for not having Sarah's credentials uploaded yet, but honestly, why didn't they simply send him in earlier to do all this? I mean, I guess we could argue that Jim, who we find out is the bad guy, is probably behind that, but no one, not even Ethan, brings up the fact that Jack's work could have been done beforehand and this wouldn't be a problem.
Sorry, sir.
Sorry, sir? Wasn't it Sarah's identification that wasn't going through? Why are any of the party guests, dignitaries or otherwise, allowed to access the super-secret computer room? Gruesome death, but why didn't Jack at least try evading these things, or lying flat on his back? Seems like it would have spared him the death and the eye stabbing. Obvious guy shooting himself is obvious, but the movie will base its entire story on the unobviousness of it. Since we know Phelps is faking his death here, how did he get his arm at that angle to point the gun at his head? Go ahead, try it at home. I dare say it's impossible?
Sarah, aboard.
Just a minute ago you were all, I can't follow orders because the knock list is out in the open. Now Jim dies and you're like, well damn, maybe he was right after all. Sarah saw this dude she was following totally get stabbed, but somehow still stuck close enough to the fence to ensure that she too would get stabbed. This asshole left his knife stuck in Sarah so that Ethan could figure out who it is later. I mean, he was like, take that, and I'll leave it inside your body because I think of people as knife racks.
This is Ethan Hunt. They're dead.
Even though Kittredge should probably know that Ethan means his team, they could mean any number of people above 1. This is an amazing fine dining establishment to be open this late in what appears to be a deserted Prague right now. How does this place stay in business?
Why was there another team?
You know, who are so obvious in their jobs that they actually define the opposite of their jobs.
The actual list is secure at Langley.
And you might be right to question why it would be anywhere else. Maybe you couldn't figure out why you were on this mission, but you definitely should have known something was up.
Your family's farm has been in receivership. Now, suddenly, they're flush with over 120 grand in the bank.
They have what they believe to be definitive proof that Ethan is behind this. Yet no one has arrested him yet, and prevented him from doing something that spies like him do, which is escape. Ethan probably killed that guy, but hey, when you're innocent of a crime, all the crimes you commit afterwards are legal. Also, was that window already pre-broken? So someone sold his team out and they're all dead. His bosses think he's a mole, and he just learned there was a second IMF team shadowing them the entire mission. Yet Ethan still thinks it's a smart idea to return to the safe house? Jason Bourne is laughing at your carelessness, Ethan Hunt. No one but Ethan Hunt could figure out that Job 314 actually meant Job 314. Ladies and gentlemen, your CIA. Max at Job 314? Oh my god. Also, even if he did figure out a connection with Job 314, how does he know that's her address? The only thing Kittredge knew was that Max referred to the operation as Job 314, not that's where you can write me when you sell CIA secrets. Furthermore, how does he know that Max and Phelps didn't have some sort of agreed-upon code when they write messages to each other that Ethan is totally breaking right now? And then he writes it in all the languages he possibly knows, so he ensures he gets in touch? Wouldn't Max then be afraid that this is someone trying to catch her, rather than her normal contact? This message to line explodes my brain. It basically means Ethan was able to steal the most coveted username in the entire Book of Job discussion board on this very night. Either that or Book of Job has like 0 users. I concede it's possible.
You wish to meet Max? The price of admission.
So they go through all this trouble to make sure Ethan can't see anything, but no trouble whatsoever to figure out if he's being tailed by another person.
Job is not given to quoting scripture in his communications.
Yet I didn't think anything was wrong with that and agreed to let you meet me in person anyway, and without going through the normal channels to talk to the real Job to ask if something might be up.
The one you have is not only worthless, it's certain to be equipped with a homing device to pinpoint your exact location.
And only works when you stick it in a computer, but not until then, for some reason. Also, I know Ethan gave her a message in the wee hours of the morning, but it's downright amazing they didn't try to use this disc yet. Were these guys just driving around Prague until someone popped in the disc? They got here in record time for people who just figured out the disc was even being used. Hell, I couldn't even get the van started in the time these guys showed up. Shaq free throws. That's an IMF web portal, and he's just been disavowed, but he can still type a password and look shit up whenever he wants.
Simple game.
I know Kittredge said it would be worthless to put a guy in an airport because people like Hunt are ghosts, but it doesn't even appear he's trying to hide. No mask, no disguise, nothing. Guy at an airport could have easily found him, as well as anyone who just happens to be walking around on this train.
Inside the Black Vault, there are 3 systems operating.
A thing that checks for sound, another that checks weight, and another that checks temperature. But even with all that, absolutely no cameras of any kind, which is peculiar. You wouldn't have to point cameras at the computer, just in blind spots like this. If the CIA is investing all this time and money to make sure temperature, weight, and sound trip the alarms, wouldn't they do everything in their power to make sure no one could come through the air conditioning shaft, which is the only way into the vault at that point?
What sector is the air conditioning? 21, but there's no alarm in sector 21.
So let me get this straight. If a fire actually happened at CIA headquarters, they wouldn't let the firefighters go to the section with air conditioning just because it's not on fire? And if they didn't, why wouldn't they have somebody on the job that could turn them off for them?
Fire alarm, Gene.
Do we have to evacuate?
You'd think that would be the case, what with alarms going off everywhere in the building. But sure, just wait until the firefighters figure out if there's actually a fire worth being scared of before you do that. Here's another thing. They'd have to be absolutely certain of this William Donlow's every move, something they can't possibly know without casing the place a few times. Plus, Donlow's activities would need to be exact every day for the timing to be just right to sync his activities with a fire alarm. This guy, whose coffee cup is totally within his peripheral vision, does not see getting squirted in his coffee cup.
1, 2, 3. Toast.
Okay, great, but you are directly above an open vent, leading to the room with the sensitive security microphones. So breaking the volume limit here should be just as toast as doing it in the actual room.
Krieger, from here on in, absolute silence.
As improbable as this is, I absolutely love this scene to death. It's so tense, so well made, and it lasts 10 minutes without the slightest bit of boredom. I might have to knock off another 5 cents for it. If Ethan is upside down, how is the image right side up? Also, he clearly uses a keycard to access this mainframe, but Ethan does not have that keycard. Now, here's something strange. Donlow is typing his username and password into the computer, which they absolutely need to happen so they can use it themselves after he leaves the room. But this doesn't appear to be part of the plan, because Ethan was ready to go all the way down to the computer before Donlow walked in. Plus, how did they know if Donlow would even be well enough to make it to the mainframe before he got violently ill? It's also pretty amazing with all the security in the room that the computer even does anything when the alarms are all set. Sure, that's better than your password, but I'm pretty sure it's a sin that the CIA has all this sensitive undercover agent information behind a login with a password that is a mere 6 digits. The appearance and timing of this vent shaft rat in a pristine CIA facility has me convinced that the rat is actually a double agent. Ethan takes out 2 discs, puts one in his mouth, then puts the second back in his vest. Why pull both out if you only needed one? Why even bring 2? Red scrolling encrypted text accidentally inspires The Matrix. Not the movie, the actual Matrix. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would have caused enough decibels to land you all in Leavenworth. The CIA agent is back at the outer door, but unlike last time, Luther isn't warning Ethan. What? How is that possible? Remember, this is how he's positioned just before catching that sweat drop. Did he dislocate his arm? You're telling me he let go of the rope, killed the rat with his bare hands, then grabbed the rope again and stopped its slide, and Ethan only fell 2 feet in that time?
Missy.
Why does he even have this knife out right now? Was he cutting up apples? I bet he was cutting up apples, that asshole. If you really think about this escape, their cover is as a few of the only rescue workers on scene so quickly, but who are all leaving the building instead of rushing into help. Excuse me, pardon me. Firefighters and women and children first, people.
I want him manning a radar tower in Alaska by the end of the day. Just mail him his clothes.
I guess you're saying a better man should have known that the hot girl in the cafeteria was going to poison his coffee, but why not just fire the guy?
Oh, you mean this?
Well, now 2 discs make sense, but still not during the mission.
Do you actually think I'd let you have the knock list?
Ethan proves he can do magic tricks, so Krieger simply believes him when he says he doesn't have the real knock list. Problem is, why would you ever believe that Ethan not only performed magic while being pulled out of the vault, but gave you a dummy disc for whatever stupid reason? Why, oh why, did Jim take a Bible out of the Drake Hotel? and it just happens to be the very hotel he was staying at just before this mission. But mainly I'm upset he took the Bible out, because as Max said, he doesn't quote scripture in his messages. So why did he need to take the Bible?
Krieger did have the Nautilus?
What? Good thing it didn't f***ing break when he slammed it into that trash can. Good thing Krieger only slammed it into a trash can instead of smashing it or breaking it completely. Also, now we have to send Ethan for being dumb enough to take 2 discs on the mission, but not have any ultimate use for the second disc, and for trusting Krieger with the real disc.
Because if you knew what you were getting into, you never would have done it.
But he did know that he didn't know what he was getting into, so why'd he still do it? Claire's name should be Clairvoyant, since she called Ethan in here before the news revealed that the arrested parties were his parents. That's amazing.
We needed 3 more seconds.
It's pretty unbelievable in the era of caller ID technology and otherworldly CIA technology, you need 30 seconds to trace this call. By the way, how Ethan imagines Jim's fake death is also impossible, because there's no camera that could have captured the gun at this angle with the way Jim's face is pointed. Not to mention this whole death scene is taking so long, there's no way that it happened as fast as it did when we saw it earlier. And I just realized Jim jumps off the bridge and definitely risks his life with the fall, the cold water, the potential drowning while wearing a trench coat. Lots of things could have gone wrong here. I mean, the movie is giving us the opportunity, so let us reiterate. Highly trained Sarah actually ran up to the gate like this with absolutely no idea what she was doing. It's kind of amazing at this point in the story that Claire is offering to bang Ethan, to prove she thinks Jim is dead and she's not behind this. I mean, how stupid do they think Ethan is? They work with this guy every day, and know how smart he is, so this is like rewarding your enemy with a free revenge bonk.
Okay, random green jumpsuit guy, run through now. Great, perfect. Got it on the first take.
This was not what we discussed.
You're on a train, and Ethan is changing the plan without messaging you first. Why do you still trust this guy again? Because he told you the Nautilus was tainted that one time?
Try it again. Damn it, I've got to get this through before we hit the channel.
Hasn't he already jammed the signal? Isn't that why they weren't able to send the Nautilus yet? Also, how come movies can't get typing right? Why is it that hard? He doesn't even hit the G once, and there's 2 G's in this command. Luther leaves his phone here so he can evade Kittredge. But there are so many things that could go wrong that I don't understand why he doesn't just put it under the seat or something. Especially since we find out it has the power to knock out all these cell phones and it's not even pointed at them. Speaking of which, everyone in 1996 has a cell phone so that Luther's jamming device can be discovered by Max's henchmen. Awesome. But where the hell did he find a mask-making machine? They were all disavowed and have been on the run with minimal equipment. Claire slipped on the f***ing floor last night at the safe house, but sure, mask machine.
Those damn Gideons.
That's racist.
Claire was never convinced her charms would work on you.
Seriously, these people are married.
Give her the money.
You earned it.
That is some tiny money. That's so tiny it's cute. Who's a cute little dollar bill guy, huh? Is it you, little fella?
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, Ethan.
Reciting scripture to prove a point while neglecting other parts of it in your own life in order to shame people. This seems appropriate when considering some of the backlash after the Supreme Court's decision on gay marriage.
No, Claire was wrong about one thing, Jim.
Oh, what's that?
Jim allows Ethan to do this. Jim decides to kill his wife first because he knows Tom Cruise has at least 4 more of these movies to make and needs to survive this first one. I know Jim is also a highly trained agent, but kicking Ethan Hunt's ass? Huh? Also, you're not going to kill him? Why not? After being smart, Ethan decides to be stupid for no reason. Jesus, how long does it take to transfer this file anyway? It's just text, right? Even 1996 is complaining about this. I'm gonna have to go ahead and question the ability of a helicopter to fly without crashing into and inside of a train tunnel this tiny and at this speed. And by question, I mean sin. Is this guy's thirst for revenge so special that he would attempt killing Ethan with helicopter blades while he flies inside the tunnel? Anyway, lucky for Ethan, it is, and now we'll just watch him jump on the helicopter without questioning it. There are no consequences when you stick bomb gum on a helicopter flying through a tunnel while attached to a train. Hell, Ethan doesn't even get burned being that close to an explosion. And let's not forget the extremely lucky landing he gets here. Not forceful enough to knock him out, but enough to get him back on the train.
Maybe we'll just leave the courts out of this one.
Pre-Patriot Act. American Airlines.
Would you consider the cinema of the Caribbean? Aruba, perhaps?
This is why you don't surprise your agents with top-secret self-destructing tapes on a flight. Ethan doesn't even smoke, so how's he going to cover that shit up? Plus, he's not in the back of the plane or anything, so any child can look over his shoulder and see top-secret shit.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Wake up, Claire! Jim's dead! They're dead! They're all dead!
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to piss on his ashes.
Bring out the gimp. I think the gimp's sleeping.
Without
Guess you just have to go wake him up now, won't you?
Smash and grab job, huh?
Slightly more complicated than that.
This place houses a security system that rivals most nuclear missile silos.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
There seems to be a strange man dressed as an elf wandering through Central Park. Now, I don't know if this is the kind of...
Your telephone?
Hello? Hello?
I can't hear anything.
I can't get out!
I'm trapped.
I can't breathe!
In the fifth, your ass goes down.
In the fifth, my ass goes down.